good morning, everybody. Hello. All right, we're live. Let me know if you can see and hear me properly. If there's any echo, whoa. Let me know if there's any echo. Some regulars here. Hey Quaz, hey Donna. Probably have some more. David. Anyway, let's get the show on the road. As always, talking about the video or videos I did this week. I spent way too much time on the video I produced this week, about 3 days to produce this last video I did. It's a lot of fun to do though. And it got a lot of good comments. So if you got any questions or comments, put them in the chat stream with a whole bunch of brightly colored emojis. That'd be good so I can see them. Otherwise, I'm just assuming people are talking and chatting and things like that. My audio and video are fine. That's good. Hey Nell, how you going, man? Okay, Jennifer. All right. Yeah, I thought what I might do is not just during the stream, you guys can ask questions, and if I happen to sort of catch it live, I'll try and answer the question if I think it's civil and if I think it's something I can answer. But also, as I did, I'll post in my community tab on my YouTube channel through the week a post so you guys can ask me a whole bunch of questions for the stream on the weekend here. So I've got time to sort of always look there and ask your most considered comments, because sometimes like there's so many comments under videos, I'm not there checking the comment section multiple times a day and sifting through them. Like sometimes I might come across a really good comment, and sometimes it's not that I don't read your comment, is just that there's so much that I miss it, or I'm not really sitting there and reading every single comment, because I'm even slack sometimes in getting back to emails. Sorry guys, it's just I live on my own and life gets in the way. There's stuff to do, there's errands, there's life in general, there's work. I try the best I can, and sometimes I get a lot of comments, a lot of really good ones, and especially sometimes they make you think, and they make it prompts me to create a video based on some really thoughtful comments that you guys give. So don't stop giving them in the comments, because every time I have a moment and I go through them, there's some really great conversations happening between you guys and some of the regulars. I love the mentoring that's happening there. Angel Chavez, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. He says his question in the live stream is, how much better do men need to get before it's good enough? Again, I keep saying, stop looking towards women though. Like, oh, isn't it good enough? There's a comment. Let me read it. It was by a woman. She wasn't trolling. She said, if a man has everything he needs, his needs are fulfilled, even the bedroom ones, what is there left to offer a woman? What is there left to offer as a woman to a man? Yes, exactly. This is what a lot of guys have been saying. They're nice, they're considerate, they do everything a woman wants, they listen to women. Women want X, men provide X. They're still not happy. Women just want more and more. She continues, if a man doesn't have a need for a woman, what is there to offer then as a woman? Do men talk about their needs and acknowledge them? Yes, all the time, but women, it's this weird thing. Women don't care when they're younger. They do not care at all what men say. When they get to their midlife, the biological clock ticks for most women, and they just want what they want. They don't listen to men because they're desperate to sort of get what they feel they need and want in life. And when they get older, because women find it almost impossible to feel guilt or look back and feel a bit shameful for what they did, they word salad explanations, and they will kind of get themselves out of where they've placed themselves in life by cognitively saying, well, 50's the new 20, and eat, pray, love, and blah, blah, blah. You make it up. Like a lot of the word salad that women sort of oprify themselves with to help themselves cope with where they've placed themselves in life now, the choices they've made, the bad choices they made, the decades, the teens, the 20s, the 30s that they've spent not liking men and saying, I don't need men, and just having fun and being perpetually single, keeping relationships at a distance. And I'm talking about keeping love at a distance, keeping affection at a distance, saying, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet, I'm having fun. When the music stops, when some of her friends have kind of moved away, a few of them might have even had kids or had gotten married, the sound of the world associated with her has died down, gone to zero. And basically she started to fade away. Now it's like a desperate sort of grab for now I can't have kids anymore. Party's over. Clubs won't even let me in most of the time. Not that people go to clubs much, because I'm too old. You see these older guys and girls trying to get into clubs. I remember when I used to go to clubs when I was younger, you always kind of looked sleazy and pathetic when you see these older guys trying to get into clubs. And the bouncer at the door says, "No, mate, sorry, too old." It used to be very black and white like that. Now they're probably not allowed to do that. But I'd imagine as well, now you see these cougars kind of lining up as well. And they probably get in because the bouncers think the young guys will love this. And make no mistake, these older women, that just because they can get young guys for a night, they think they've actually got men. They don't actually look at the context in which they get them. Just because the 3 out of 10 girl can get the quarterback for a night, as in he sort of sees the girl next door as a kind of fun thing, but not something that I'm going to settle for her. This is the context that most women don't sort of see. They're not looking at it from the point of view of a guy. And again, women don't care what guys want. They don't care what they need, and so on and so forth. Same with Sonia here. She says, do men talk about their needs and acknowledge them? We do. We do all the time. Women just don't care and they don't listen. And even if men are direct, men want to be very specific, as in the age-old, a woman will talk about a problem and a man wants to fix it, and she doesn't want him to fix it. She just wants him to listen to her emoting. So she doesn't care about the problem that's at hand. She just wants to complain about it. If a man wants to say something about it, it's like, can you just shut up? I want to talk. So men talk all the time. Unfortunately, women don't listen and they don't care most of the time. When they get to their 30s and 40s, they're trying to figure out, okay, what do I do now? I'm alone. My eggs have dried up. But you've exercised the muscle of not caring about men, not liking men, not trusting men, not listening to them, not having patience for them. They're kind of things that are annoying that need to be tolerated. And she continues, I'm confused about the question of what does she bring to the table in relationships by men when I don't know them or their needs. I would say if you're middle-aged, my age, and you're kind of still I don't know what women want, I don't know what men want, that sort of says you have been myopic. You haven't sort of listened. A lot of guys, me included, when you're younger, you listen, you do what they say they want, and then you figure out they don't know what they want. Women, they say they want nice guys, but they pick the obstreperous, the hard to handle, the roller coaster exciting but the unstable guy that they know will make a bad husband, the guy that drinks, womanizes, he's never consistent, he's never stable. They don't pick him, most women. She sort of says, I've also talked about this with a friend who answered me and her traits. And I'm assuming it's a guy friend, said, no, that's not enough. I do not understand the concept, I think. She's talking about when sort of men say, what do women bring to the table? I think that, I don't think, I know, that most guys these days, they got tired of women just wanting more and more and more, and it never being enough. Like, I just want a nice guy, I want a guy who's this, I want a guy who's that. And the majority of guys in the middle of the bell curve, most of the guys out there are pretty okay, decent, but they're very boring to women. The boring stuff that women say they want, the stability, the nice guy, good temperament, stable, it's not very exciting. I said in a video a while ago, women want some sort of stable roller coaster, contradictory things. So women are asking these questions too late. They don't care. They haven't exercised the muscle to care. So it's very hard for them. They're always saying, look, I don't get it. I don't get it. Men are saying bring something to the table, as in don't just bring your overinflated needs. Like I've got a list of 100 things that are forever increasing, growing and changing all the time, and you've got to keep up with it. Whereas a man has basic needs like, I just want a nice person that doesn't cause drama. Most guys are happy with, they don't need a Victoria's Secret model. They'll take one if that unicorn's available, which it usually isn't, only for the top tier guys. But guys will take the average girl next door that, you know, it's his type, attractive wise, like, okay, she's blonde or she's brunette and she looks like this. She's got a great, buoyant personality, maybe. You know, she's relatively normal, nice, and doesn't cause drama. But women like the drama. Women like that bad boy, that guy that is exciting and unpredictable and spontaneous, and he kind of does all these manipulative tactics that women seem to respond to in the PUA community. Now, guys are kind of figuring out what women want, not what they say they want, and using it against them in the PUA community. And women will complain about all these guys, but they're manipulating women with their worst traits. They're not... it's kind of like the women who just use men for their money, and they figure out the game of how to do that. Oh, this guy's got money. I'll have fun being with him. I know what he wants. I'm prepared to do this for a bit. She's very aware of it. The PUA guys are very aware of women's nature. It's like, I know what she wants. I know what she wants to hear. I know she says she wants a nice guy, but I know she doesn't. I'm going to give and say to her exactly what she responds to, even if it sounds counterintuitive. Like a lot of the PUA stuff will be very brash and almost seem like, whoa, that's a bit risque, or that's a bit sort of pushy. Like, I can't believe he's got that much courage to push her away with being that arrogant. But she wants that arrogance. She wants that surprise. She wants that kind of stuff. So I would say men are fairly simple. We don't have this long list. It's very basic. And I think at heart, women know that men are so basic. Women pride themselves on being complicated. Like, oh, they're advanced, like they're a fine wine that's got like a lot of elements to them. It's not. You just kind of, most women don't even know what they want. They change so much and they call that complexity. It's not complexity. It's annoying. So yeah, guys don't have this long list, and guys are tired of women with their long list but offer nothing. And now even the most basic stuff, women don't even look good anymore. They look terrible, a lot of them. No matter how much makeup they put on, they're not fit, they're not attractive, they have an awful personality. Like a woman who's objectively a 3 or 4, she's got a great personality, she's just a nice person. She doesn't have to know how to juggle and be ultra intelligent. But if she's just a decent, nice, boring person, if she's a boring person, guys will love her, the majority. Women don't want boring men. We love boring women that are mildly attractive in our range of attractiveness. That's it. Men aren't complicated. Women know this, but women like to sort of BS the marketing anyway. I ranted a bit on that one. I think because it was on my mind. I might make a video of it in the future, because you hear it often about women sort of like, oh, I don't know what men want and stuff. You don't care. Most women don't listen. They know men are very, you listen and you see when men want your bodies and stuff. It's very obvious, kind of, yeah, I know I want him. I know how to dangle this carrot in front of him. I know how to wear a low-cut top and look, you know, very suggestive and things like that. But then you pretend, women pretend to not know, oh, what do men want? You know why women pretend? Because it requires actually giving something. All right, now I've actually got to give something a man wants. It's not very much. I just got to not cause drama and bust his chops. I've got to not do that. I've actually got to do nice things that I appreciate given to me. I have to do those. Nah, like I'm going to pretend I don't know what men want. It's so confusing. What do men want? Like, do men even express their needs? Yeah, nice try. Women need to start caring about guys as actual human beings. I know it's very hard. A lot of you women grow up in the school round where you're very catty and you backstab each other. You don't trust each other. You don't trust the media now. No one trusts anyone. Your own sisterhood manipulates you, telling you, no, trust this. Go to work. Have a career. That'll fulfill you. You don't need a family. You don't need this. You don't need companionship. You don't need love, stability, or warmth, or being able to rely on a social circle. No, you're on your own. Burn your bridges. You'll always be attractive. These ads on TV, the Revlon ads of like, I don't know, 80-year-old Jane Fonda saying, I'm worth it. Like, you're still effable in your 80s? Come on. This is what they're saying to women. You're powerful and effable until your 80s because men will go to bed with you for a few hours for one night and then discard you. And you pretend that, oh, it's men's fault. They're not being genuine. I thought he really cared about me. Well, really, during the night when you are going home on that first date or first hookup with that young guy as a cougar, were you really talking about a serious relationship, or are you just giggling and being passive and silent and just enjoying and going with the flow and saying, well, I don't know, whatever happens, happens. I hope it turns into something meaningful, but you don't talk about it. Anel says, human, I think women feel guilt but don't want to show it in front of us. They cry privately instead of publicly. I know that, but they don't do it between themselves. They might with their very best friend. Whether they do or don't, they're not showing it. Well, someone can say, I'm a really sensitive person underneath, but no one understands me. But you never show it, you never express it, and you're lazy to the point of never being able to kind of face that thing you need to overcome. There's no point me saying, well, I've been diagnosed with X, Y, and Z, so therefore I can't help myself, or I've got this kind of personality trait, I've got a short temper, and I don't care about trying to modify it or better myself, and I subject everyone to my awful behavior. Don't make no mistake about it. The inability to say sorry, to be humble, not to show guilt, and not to voice that, that's a very courageous thing to do. And I'm sick of all these women today having the power to steer the world and publicly get on TV and tell you how great and powerful and how much goddesses they are and everything, but they cannot be humble. If you're that powerful, that confident, and you want everyone to applaud the virtues of all this kind of egotistical stuff you think is great, but you can't do the stuff that's beneath you, that should be easy. If you're a superwoman, being humble should be like nothing. That's like child's play. That's like kindergarten. But no, that's really fearful stuff, is it? Why? Because that superwoman thing's just an act. That's why. If you're really superwoman, you could be humble. You don't need a mask. You don't need armor. I'm tired of all this overinflated superhero female positivity, but, I really find it hard to say sorry. I can't express guilt. Take it home. I don't think I'm the only one that's alone in saying they're sick of it. All these people that are confident, overly confident, their traits in that area, but then when there's the other traits that, because you've got this openness to be, talkative and direct and outgoing and, say what's on your mind, you don't care what other people think, you're so brash, but then you can't throw the crumb of Yeah, I'm a human being. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, of course, I'm not perfect. No. You're going to be perfect and everything's got to be positive and there are no cracks in you and you defend and destroy anyone who suggests there are. You can't be with anyone like that. Like, if women are wondering as well, like trying to make yourself into some perfect superwoman that society loves, like she earns a lot of money and no man can touch her and she'll never be hurt. It's as bad as like some guys that sort of act in similar ways. Like, I have more sympathy for the guys because women have like set the foundations of pushing men away and men can't be with women. But now everyone's adopting this tough person act. I don't need anyone. I'm the best. Fake it till you make it. You know, get the job, lie about who you are, put the mask on. And then later on, all the vulnerable aspects of who you are that are missing, why your world feels black and white and dead, is that you don't have the courage to express humility, to say sorry, to express guilt, to be honest and talk to another person. How are you supposed to sympathize with a guy? And I see this in a lot of the PUA, tough guy, macho acting videos, where guys trying to express like, I was really hurt. You know, my ex did this and that, and I feel this and I feel that, and I'm trying to come to terms with, you know, what I'm going through. And we've removed emotion and that connection of the relational connection of being with someone, the whole reason you want to be in a relationship in the first place, the stuff you get from friendships, the stuff you get from a good family. We remove that, and so a guy who's been destroyed by a woman, divorced, has his kids taken away, when he goes to the community and says, like, look, I feel like this, the answer they get is cold. No one's used to dealing with emotions, especially from men. Women don't care about men's emotions. Women don't think men feel anything. When men get destroyed and then go to men's communities to try and work out and recover from their feelings, and they're completely destroyed. They're full of emotions. It's all they get. Toughen up, start a job, don't give a F. It's like you're as cold as the women who tossed you away. Like, women tossed away their feelings for security, to make money, to pretend to be like men. Men now, to be able to kind of even relate to women and survive, is like, I'm not going to bother even feeling to women anymore. I'm not going to bother trying to be a nice guy because she doesn't care. She doesn't listen. Like the female commenter says, I know she's well-meaning, but she's saying, do men talk about their needs and acknowledge them? Women don't care. Women increasingly, they're living in a female world. They're so solipsistic that men are annoying and men should just get away. And men have listened and they've stopped trying because no matter what we do, we're the bad guy. You don't listen. You don't care. We're a wallet. we're a walking. We're a walking. What are we? We're a walking wallet with a phallus attached. That's it. That's mildly interesting until, you know, like, yeah, I don't need you now. Like, I've had my fun. You've bought me something. Now leave me alone. Anyway, I've belabored this point enough. Morning to all the Australians. Hit the like button. Yep. Subscribe, guys. Hit the like button. Comment. If you don't feel like commenting, just interact. It helps YouTube. Say apple pie. Say anything. Just say, how are you? Whatever. Doesn't matter. But I appreciate any kind of interaction with the channel. Even dislike the video. Feel free to just dislike the video. Doesn't bother me. Anel says, Human, why do you think women get so angry at the what do you bring to the table questions? It seems taboo to ask that in their opinion. Yeah, because women don't want to give anything. Most women, you hear women say, I don't want a needy guy. And a guy kind of thinks like, I want to be strong. I want to take the lead and stuff. But what a woman says, and I've learned this in my past, is a woman who says, I don't like needy men, is that I don't want you to ask anything of me. I don't want to do anything. I want the relationship to be a one-way street from you to me. I steer it. Whatever I want, you give. You have no needs. What does it say if a woman says, I don't want someone who's needy, it means I don't want to deal with your needs. I don't want you to need anything from me because I don't give a thing. So what does it bring to the table? Just shows that women either feel like they never have to bring anything. Women just need to show up, and they think that's fine. Like, it's as though a celebrity showing up to the house of a fan, and she's kind of annoyed that, like, why isn't he overjoyed? Or that the fan sort of says, "Oh, can you take your shoes off?" And the celebrity's like, "What? Do you know who I am? I know this is your home, but when I'm here, this is my home. I'm the celebrity." So I think a lot of these celebrity type women look at most men as their fans. I think Dave Sims said it. He said most women, they see all men as partners, or they see most guys as boyfriends or partners or husbands, right? So they see most men as partners, potential partners, or partner replacements. Those three things. You're either in a relationship with her, you're a potential relationship, or you're a relationship replacement. But it's all about her using you in that moment. Like, it's her relationship, it's her fun time with you. And so women sort of have to philosophically and honestly look at themselves, not just in the mirror when they apply their makeup, but really look at the person and say, am I being fair? Do I use the golden rule? Do I treat people badly or neutrally, but I expect a lot? Is it unbalanced? There's no point women saying, I'm great, I'm nice, whenever you ask them. But then you ask them, okay, what are your qualities? What are you good at? What do you bring to the table? So what do we bring to the table? I've asked this of women before. It's almost like, what good qualities do you offer a guy? That's what you bring to the table. And when you ask women, all right, like, because they say, I want a man who's like this, like that. They've got all these wants and needs. They're very sure about what they want. And when you say, okay, why would you deserve such a guy? What makes you think you deserve a guy like that? And that is actually what do you bring to the table? And when you ask a woman, why do you think you deserve it? Women hear, like, well, I'm not nice, I'm not beautiful, I'm not worth it. It's like, no, you're neutral. You're a stranger to someone. Why? What would they see in you that would make you different to everyone else out there? So I don't think that women care much about what men want or think, because men talk about it all the time, but women don't care. Or if men actually talk about what they want from their point of view, it's actually seen as negative towards women. It's patriarchal or misogynistic, but it's not. If a man has a preference, it's not negative or hateful. It's like, no, I like this, I want this. Oh my God, you have wants? It's almost like saying, oh my God, you want something out of this relationship? You want to be in this? Oh man, what a creep. What a pig. Think about that. When men have needs, oh, you're needy. Like, it's not attractive when a man needs stuff from a woman, where he's a human being that actually needs you to actually do things or come to the table or have virtues or qualities. You cannot just be an attractive doll that we take to bed. You have to have human qualities that would help you be a friend to someone. You would need to have human qualities that would have me trust you as a human being. And a woman's like, whoa, what? You want stuff from me? You want me to be a nice human being? You want me to exist? Think about that. You want me to exist in this relationship beyond a nagging, good-looking thing or, makeup fill thing? It's very telling. Like, this is why I find this stuff very interesting. When you make sense of it through thinking and words, and you philosophically understand what you've been doing wrong and what you now expect, not because you want to take it from a woman, but because you want life to make sense, and it will be much fairer and reciprocal. Because remember, philosophy, the reason why it's attractive and it stood the test of time is because it's consistent. It's not just what I want. It's got to be a fair thing in the other direction. It's the golden rule. That's what philosophy is. That's why it's always a good working model for human beings, especially for guys to make sense of things. Take a breath, human. Yeah, Boffin says, yes, men will be satisfied with a nice, boring 3 or 4. And if they cook well, they automatically get bumped up to 5 or 6. I would say 6 to 8. If she's, I mean, I've always gone for the more the girl next door. I always, from a very young age, when I first started dating, I think I dated like good looking girls, but very quickly I understood why the stereotype was there. And from then on, I mistrusted very, very good looking women because they either had no personality or most of them, they were awful people. It's almost like you're really good looking. You start to sort of, they start to tap into the worst aspects of female nature, and they enjoy the roller coaster of treating people badly. And it's almost like, I hit this person and they love me more. I treat people worse and they love me more. I make more noise and I get more. I give nothing. I actually give negatives and I get more positives than if I was just silent. So I don't know if it's training, but I've always been a thinking person, and I always appreciated more the girl next door, the plainer person, and even with guys, the guys who are very showy, as the kind of the egotistical guys that the bimbos would be with, the convertible Ferrari kind of guys with the gold chains and full of themselves, businessmen and stuff like that. The kind of women that they would be with, I didn't even find those guys very interesting to be with. It was all about stuff and them, and you really couldn't have a personal conversation. And the same with women. I didn't feel any personal with those kind of bimbos. And I always started, my type is the girl next door. And like Boffin says, if they've got a nice personality, they go from like a 3 to a 5 to like a 7, depending on how much of a personality is compatible with you. They might have a nice personality, but then there's the factor of if they're not compatible with you, they're just a nice person that doesn't fit with you. And I've gone out with women like that in the past. Nice, beautiful people, but square peg in a round hole. We just don't fit. And you start to get frustrated at each other. But when you look at it, it's like, no, she's not a bad person. And I don't think I am. It's just that our values they don't touch. Like, they want something else in life and I want something else. They want to live a different way. I want to live in a different way. They're an extrovert. I'm an introvert. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, men just want a very average girl who's nice. It's very simple. Women kind of know men aren't complicated. Women love to talk as though men are complicated. What do men want? They're virtue signaling, so men will say, well, let me give you another chance at explaining or going out with you or giving you another date and making you understand and talking to you, and maybe this time you'll get it. Same experience. Women don't care. Women date in the same sleepwalking mode as they did when they were in their teenage years. They feel good on the relationship. They go with the feelings. They're drunk on the feeling. And then afterwards it doesn't work. It's like, what happened? Let me roll the dice again. Go on Tinder and try another date and complain like, why can't I get a relationship? I've been doing this for 30 years exactly the same way and I still refuse to change. Every man's the same I go out there. I don't care about what I offer. I don't listen to men. And somehow it's annoying that all men are unfathomable. Unfathomable. Can't even say the word. Anyway. Look, Spec Ops says, I've had success on dating apps and I can pull women, but if I could tell you my overall experience, laughing emojis. I had a relatively okay time dating apps, all that stuff, but none of it went anywhere. All of it was just fun. When you start actually being serious, like, okay, let me not just kind of like roll a dice and go on every ride in this theme park. It's like if I want long term, let me pick long term or nothing. Then it gets, you see how difficult it is, because it's very easy when no one's got any standards other than, let's put on this act that works. Let's go, have fun, say the lines, talk about anything without depth, go to bed with each other, and then kind of without actually really speaking and communicating and relating, then complain that the relationship didn't miraculously just happen. Well, if we don't put any conscious effort in it, as in first consciously looking at what we want and then consciously expressing it on the date, how we speak, how we communicate, who we show we are, then afterwards when we show up with masks and we're not really being us. We're going on job interviews, doing a song and dance. It's almost like people dating today, it's like, all right, I'm going on a date, I'm taking my juggling balls. It's like you go on a date juggling. And it's like, whoa, this is working, this is fun. You go to bed with them, and then like you go home, you put the juggling balls away, and it's kind of like, why doesn't it work? It's like, yeah, because now you don't have the juggling balls. Like you're not going out there to impress and put on an act and be a jester. Women's jester act is to be completely passive and completely hide who they are. Learn to have some humility and accept guilt, lady. I know it's very hard, if not impossible, but that'll kind of make you find out who you are. Without knowing who you are, you're going to be disappointed because you're just going to be used. You're relying on luck while being completely empty and being used all the time. Nice tan human. Yeah, I got a bit sunburnt yesterday. It's not a tan. It's also my I'll actually show you. It's also the color filter I'm using. This is the beauty of the fun I have with these things. There we go. This is what my camera looks like. And this is it corrected. This is the kind of fun I enjoy having. This is why I'm a geek with producing my content. Go from that kind of boring camera image to this. Just the guy says, many content creators in the manosphere seem unable to think beyond the false dichotomy long-term relationships versus promiscuity. Maybe because their moral values are very traditional. Yeah, it's also how you were raised. Let's not forget that most of our base character, like where we feel from, that we have very little control over, we have to very consciously harness and like sort of have the hands on the steering wheel. But most of our base nature is set in stone by the age of 6 to 8 years old. And so if you've been raised a certain way, whether you've been given or not given certain things, treated a certain way, and being sort of formalized in a certain way, it's very, very hard because that's your autopilot. And let's not forget, like, when you get in a relationship, the thing you want to do is just let go and relax and trust that the person accepts who you are, your autopilot. And that stuff's been set. So that's the trick. You can game and put on a show and be this high-value guy. But when you're not concentrating on it, and then you just kind of exhibit the reflexes of that 7-year-old boy when you're at home just kind of entertaining yourself, watching a movie, playing a game, and your partner that's used to the act kind of sees that the mask drop, it's kind of like, oh, I don't like that. You can try and, it's a life spent of hiding from everyone, trying to fit in. There's a difference. I'm not saying don't give a F and treat people badly. It's like, why are we so worried at not caring if we impress people? If we know that with our family and friends, we don't have to impress them, we can just be relatively normal. If you've got sort of mental problems, that's a different thing. But even those people who have been diagnosed with something, you notice that they can shut their mouth and they can act nicely at work and hold down a job, and but they let their worst traits out to the people that they love when they come home. It's like, oh, well, I can't help myself. It's, yes, you can. You don't care about the people you love. You care more about your job and your money. That's where you behave yourself. That's where you're fair. That's where you're a nicer human being. Hey, Mr. Smith. ANL says, Human, at what age should you stop dating? Should you? Again, that's a question like, what if you never did and you started dating later? Then maybe you as a person, you need a length of time there to convince you. And what if you go out with women who failed relationships, like I mentioned before, where they're relatively nice people, you're astute enough not to pick the worst, and you go out with more and more of them, so you need longer and longer time. So, you know, see what I mean? It depends on how astute you're being, how honest you're being with dating, and how you can trust your own instincts and sort of say, you know, I've tried this amount, I've tried in all these different ways, all these different women, and the only options I seem to have when I go out on dating is the same type of woman over and over again. And even when I've found where I consider I can't find any faults in her, we drift apart. And it's happened numerous times where I can't fault either of us, but we just don't stay together. Then you sort of say, I'm out. I don't have time to waste. Do you value something now more than needing to give time to a relationship? They're all very subjective questions. So I can't actually tell you when you should stop or when you should start, or if you should start at all. Guys, there are some guys who do not want to date at all. And if they can do it maturely and consciously and fairly and civilly and without any malice or anger, good for you. You know, we never used to sort of look down on monks in the past, but they had a reason for it. Like I said in the last video, what's your personal why? Find out your why. That's who you are. Then all of these decisions, whether you do date what, and if you don't, you become very specific. Find your personal why, and then that's a very, very boundaried, very conscious, willful, more confident way where you have some sort of sense of control to kind of navigate your world, and you feel good, and you feel a lot freer. You don't feel like the world's pulling your strings and kicking you around all the time. Anel says, I always find it weird when you have 50-year-old women calling KS. I don't know what that is. Asking for a husband, not realizing their time has passed, but they think otherwise. Yeah. Well, again, you need to kind of, I get frustrated too. I mean, you've seen me in videos. Sometimes I get sort of mildly exasperated, sorry. I always get those two words mixed up. Why do they make them sound almost identical, and they're also states of feeling? It's different if exacerbated and exasperated. One meant, like the nut on a carburetor in your car, and the other one actually meant something to do with your emotions, but both of them have to do with different states of emotion, and they're almost exactly identical in the way you lexically pronounce them. Really annoying. Yeah, I get it as well, where it annoys me, where it's like when you do a lot of work on yourself, you're very self-reflective, you're much more conscious, you're interested in language, what things mean, and thereby how you communicate, and you have better conversations. You insist on better conversations, and through those you can find who's you, who's not, who you do give time to, who you don't, who you know that you won't have a deep conversation with, who you might, where you can learn, where you can't, where it's the same old woman you're going out with, don't do it again. You'd rather stay on your own and find someone who's a bit more exceptional than the average bimbo you've always gone out with. And if you can't find it, fine. Have friends. Here's a good rule of thumb. Have friends or nothing. Right? So have platonic friends or have the friend quality in a potential romantic relationship if you're still open to it, right? Friends or nothing. There's your golden rule. You know, humans stance on 2022. When it comes to other people, it's friends or nothing, right? You're neutral, you don't care, they're not for you, you walk away, they're cars on the freeway, they go by. You don't care. You're not trying to stop any of them. If the other person is not a friend, whether it's platonic or romantic, they don't matter. Let them live their life. It's friends or nothing. Should make a video on that one. I don't know how much content that would make. Oh, by the way, for the nerds, I've gone back to this keyboard in the light of the new color scheme on my channel, which is like orange and cream. I went from basically very cool blues and greens, which I still have as a color palette. It's complementary to orange. But then I went to yellow, and I liked it. But I think I'm going to stick with this. There's a lot more room to move, and it's a lot more buoyant, I think. The colors I'm using now, the color palette. And I love this keyboard. Anyway, any more questions, guys? Otherwise, I'm going to start reading the questions from the comments. And the survey I left in my community tab. So for those of you who watch this stream now, I'm going to try and be much more active and ask you questions and interact with you in the community section leading up to these streams, so you guys can prepare and ask questions and, you know, have a considered response. And if you can't make the streams, the conversation can also include the community tab and lead into this, and it just kind of keeps looping around. So I asked a poll in the community section, and the poll was, if you enjoy something but then you realize you're not a natural at it, does that minimize your enthusiasm and your effort? And I asked this in terms of like people's will. People just kind of give up on themselves. And I've talked to a couple of people that they're pretty nice people to talk to, and I admire some of them. But I've got this kind of will where I just want to enjoy what I enjoy doing. And I don't have to be the best. I don't have to get the gold medal because I just see it as part of my world that I enjoy. Like I make the music for my videos, and it's nothing special, but I just enjoy tinkering with it. Like guys don't enjoy tinkering. There's many guys who just, they can't tinker unless the tinkering is expert level, unless the tinkering can have a gold medal wrapped around it and be sold out there in the world, or make money, or be admired and everyone claps for it and everyone objectively says, yeah, you're good, human. Whereas like if I can't enjoy it, like your own enjoying in the moment, the process of you enjoying is you actually saying, I validate it. But if you actually don't, you just enjoy it for its own sake, and you give up and say, well, you know, human can draw better than me, say. And you go, well, I'll never be able to draw as well as him, so there's no point. I didn't get here because when I started drawing or when I started doing anything creative that I was good at, I didn't sort of say, well, oh, look at that great picture that someone drew. I really like it. There's something attractive about it. Let me try. I'm terrible at it. I'm going to give up. Well, I will never get to be that person in the future that someone else might go, oh, well, that inspires me. Like, that cycle of life doesn't kind of get propagated forward and continue. I don't get these people who need the validation of the world to kind of calibrate whether they're proud or whether they love something. It's just kind of me. My happiness has always been self-generated. And so I've always kind of found that character trait in people where they enjoy something, but if they're not a natural, they give up because they see other people might naturally be, they clumsily can kind of fall into it better. Like, I'm terrible at mathematics. For instance, my brother's a natural at it. But like, if I actually still stubbornly like found something good in it, I would still want to enjoy it, even though he's naturally kind of 10 steps ahead effortlessly compared to me. But it's kind of like, oh, he's enjoying it, I want to enjoy it too. And I just don't understand how some people stop themselves from enjoying it. It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to be validated by the world. So I thought it was an interesting question maybe to ask ourselves in terms of giving up. That are there things we enjoy? Like, some people sort of said video games too. And I'll read some of the comments out. Realistic Delinquent said, it is often the case for me that a lack of untrained natural talent is my barrier to entry. For example, I have a poor singing voice and finger dexterity, so I'll never practice music regardless of my adoration. Exactly. I have an awful singing voice. I admire singers. I've tried singing. I'm terrible. I could probably get better if I really sort of stubbornly said, like, no, this is my thing. I really want to get good at it. I would get better. But there's only kind of a range that my voice would work in, given my the lower register I have. So I think we can get something out of these parts of life, but we don't have to kind of say, well, I think if you don't trust your instincts, you don't know the difference between liking something and loving it, you can waste your time trying to make something you can only have the limits of liking. You're forcing yourself to love it. And that's probably another subject that people need to self-reflect. Know the difference between liking something and loving it. And I would say, and I know myself, I liked a lot of women, or I barely did. I couldn't love them. There were some women, most women I dated, I barely liked, and some I couldn't, and I was trying to love them and skip past the liking part. All very important questions to ask. Ronald Draco, thank you very much for the donation. He says, as a personal trainer and martial arts instructor, read Aristotle. Aristoteles. That is the goal of being human. That is the goal of being human, I think he wrote. Ultimately, it's better to be better to enjoy development. Yeah. The process of doing stuff, even the philosophical, cognitive process of doing stuff, guys, like, think about when guys fix cars or things. We just don't fix the thing blindly. We think about it and we sort of Tetris the thing together in our head and find out how it works. We love thinking about even the physical stuff, how we put it together, how we make life work in front of us, how we hammer something together, our place in a relationship. Like, I'm a guy, I do this, I do that. This is my place in the engine of my relationship. And this is her place in the engine. And this is why the car works. Whereas you both go there going like, well, I don't know how to fix an engine. I don't know how a car works. I don't care. I don't want to do anything. You're the one that makes it work. And the other person's saying the same thing. And of course it doesn't work. So being better and doing, and especially like the mental, physical sort of loop that a guy enjoys. The physical doing women don't like very much. So I think guys let themselves down when they don't realize the importance of the philosophical thinking component expressed through the doing. Like figuring it out, testing it, and then doing it, and sort of seeing that it's real. That empirical way of putting your hands on the world based on how you've thought and your empirical experience. Leo K, thank you very much for your donation. He says, your content really helped me to refocus on myself and the things that are important to me after my divorce. Thank you. I'm glad I could help. Thank you, Leo. Especially today, it's a woman's world. The only way a man will survive is philosophically, and that means this stuff has to be important enough to you as an individual to find your own language, to develop your own ethics. You know, ethics, the rules to which you adhere and act in life. The way you speak. When things prop up, when you go on a date and you notice something, you express it. You don't keep it hidden. You don't not know how to speak. You don't go on dates fumbling through vague terms like, I don't know, like whatever, we'll see what happens, you know, go with the flow. It's like, no. Intentionally talk about what's important, ask questions, you know, playfully interrogate people. Like, get under their skin. I've told you before, like, I love conversation. I love getting under people's skin. When I go on a date, I want to get under their skin. I want them to get under mine. There are no offensive questions. There are questions that are going to sort of reveal things. There are questions that are going to make this a very short date, thankfully, or there are questions that are going to extend this date, thankfully. There are no, like, get under each other's skin, care enough to express who you are, and care enough to care about someone else and force them to tell you who they are. People are so, again, comfort zone, in the comfort zone of hiding. And then we're wondering why we're depressed and we can't connect with anyone. We don't find relationships. We can't find love. We can't find companionship. It's like, no, start a business. Keep everything at a distance. And no matter how fast or how much you start running on that treadmill of things and stuff and a distance of interpersonal sort of relating with people, like we're pushing all the feeling human stuff away and thinking all we need to survive is with stuff. We've got to keep running and running and running and running. G Crow says, I would say not being a natural doesn't minimize it, but being bad at something you enjoy does hurt it somewhat. You at least want to somewhat be competent at a skill you enjoy. I agree. Otherwise, repeatedly failing at it will drag your enthusiasm down. True. But I think now with YouTube and Google, anything I'm interested in, I can find out how to do it. You know, all this stuff, audio, video, all the stuff I'm showing you, I just like obsessively found it fun. Like I watched someone produce a video before and it's like, that looks amazing. They look like they're having fun. I would love to be able to do that. I'm interested in that. Like have an interest in life. And now with a search bar, you can find out so much stuff that in private, yeah, learn to do the thing and then start creating things to get better at it and to show that like, if this stuff was created by someone before you, there are very few Picassos in the world. Don't mistake and think that everyone out there is a Picasso but you. Those people like Picassos and Elon Musks and whoever else you kind of put at the top of your tree, they're kind of the rarity, but most of us can actually be competent in our own bubble where we can enjoy something and get something out of it. Even if you never put out a video, even if your channel doesn't get any subscribers, I would encourage people to start like, if you feel alone, you can't find people to communicate with you. The reason I started my channel was that there was no one I could talk to about this stuff. I wanted to create stuff and express things and talk about this stuff. No one in my world, I felt like I could really do it. And I wanted to figure it out. And so I created all this so I can start expressing all of this stuff with you guys. But it's primarily for me. Like all the stuff I do, the video stuff was all self-taught. I didn't go to university to learn anything I do. From audio to video to writing to drawing to art. I'm just obsessive about it all because I just have this will and interest. And some of you might say, well, you're lucky. It's like, well, am I lucky? Or did I just keep pounding away at it? Did I put more effort in it because I found it important? And I'm not being arrogant at this. If you don't care about anything, nothing will care about you. I care about the more effort I put into, say, creating a video, the video will care enough that it will give me results back. Even if I don't publish it, I will, at the end of pounding at something in a certain direction, it will result in something I learn, or like I'll see, like, oh, look at the video. I did that. It'll give back to me, you know? But yeah, you need to be competent, but the only way to get competent at something is to kind of be interested enough and tinker with it and search and, you know. Yeah, a lack of interested tinkering with guys. A lot of guys are giving up. Kevin says, enjoyment is everything when I do something. I can progress slow, but will keep doing it. Yeah. Does it? Again, are you an impatient person? That's another thing. You might think, oh, well, I'm not good at it. But it might be you have a problem with patience. It's not actually a problem with like, well, I'm not good at it. See what I mean about really getting to the heart of how you think? It might be this person has got a natural talent, or I'm just not that interested. They are. It's that I don't have the patience to sit still long enough to get the results. I could get what they have. I could enjoy what they enjoy, but I don't have the patience to do it. But I don't want to admit that, so I will make up another excuse. William says, depends. There's natural ability, and then there's turning weakness into strength. Kind of need to differentiate between what will harm or help you. Yes, that's a different thing. Turning a weakness into a strength. If you know you're not good at something, but you know you should be, and you keep effing up, like, you know, you keep drinking and you can't say no to like your junk food or something like that, that's a weakness. But I'm talking about something that's more the aesthetic part of life. Like for myself, I kind of enjoy life much more aesthetically than most people. A lot of people are much more mechanical about it. That's very different to something that's very objective. That's kind of like, I'm objectively failing here because of a deficiency or weakness, and I can't actually get my life on track where I'm happy. I'm forever failing myself and I don't like myself. That's very different to just freely being able to get better at something, to enjoy something, to find a hobby, to find a calling. Is it your patience? Is it your effort? Is it the time and attention you give to things? Is it being able to abide by the golden rule? Again, the golden rule is such a great thing, not just between people, but between you and any other relationship you're having with a thing. Are you fair with the golden rule with your hobbies? Do you expect too much of your hobbies, but you're not giving enough to them to get what you want back of them? Are you the chick that demands everything but doesn't give anything? Like, I want to be good at video, but I can't be bothered learning anything. Like, I just, when I put my hands on a camera or do something, it doesn't come naturally. And so, like, nah, enough. Well, are you like the bimbo that wants everything? Do you expect more than what you give? Do you need to work on your patience? So the golden rule in every relational aspect in life, whether it's with people or the things you do, where you find frustration and a lack of happiness, it might actually be with your attitude. And if it's been baked in from when you were young, I have sympathy for you, because that's a hard one to undo. And sometimes you can't. Most times you can't. Matt says, repent to God for your sins and ask Jesus to be your Savior and Lord, and then go be baptized in the wonderful name of Jesus. Whatever works for you. Look, I've often thought that when people pray to God and they ask Jesus for forgiveness and all that sort of stuff, and they feel good, they're actually talking to themselves. And the more spiritual people that still believe in, you know, your traditional religion, I'll be able to have a good conversation with some of those people where they say, well, yeah, God is you anyway. So I think you're really talking to yourself, and you're allowing, but you can only talk to yourself by externalizing yourself. So you can't, for you to philosophically come to terms with God, you need to externalize, like you need to sort of make it more rudimentary as in an external person. You can't internalize it as much. It needs to be a separate thing to you. Whereas, like, I've often suspected when people kind of talk of repent to God, ask for forgiveness for God, it's kind of really the equivalent of the modern notion of like, forgive yourself, talk to yourself well. I think it's one in the same, but I think whatever works for you. If it works for you to talk externally to something else, do it. But I think it's one in the same. And I think it's healthy. Either way, whatever works for you. As long as you're not pushing it on someone else. As long as you can apply the golden rule to it, remember. If you're a pushy God botherer and you're compelled to force people to kind of to transform to your way of thinking, that's not really using the golden rule. It's not really godlike, is it? You don't want people to force you. You found the way, but you think you have every right to force someone else. Feral Male says, I'm not convinced that being a natural is actually a thing. At least there isn't anything that I've ever been a natural at. I do believe that things you like and are interested in will lead you to become good at them, and then people will call you a natural. I believe more of what you believe. I've actually thought that it's kind of irrational to think that I can spend so much time getting better at something I know nothing about just because I find it interesting. And just like, if I try the basic steps of any craft, right? Like, you want to learn how to use a camera, you start with the very rudimentary basics, right? And you learn the very, like, everyone can. And if you just keep learning, like if you go to a class, right, and it's the basics of photography, and everyone in class gets to a certain level after 7 weeks, and you're right at the start, there is objectively something wrong with you and you're not a natural, or it's not for you, fair enough. But aside from that, 99% of people can tinker with the basics. They get that repetition down when it becomes comfortable, then they go to the next step and the next step, and they get better and better. So I'm of your, like, I don't think you can actually fail by being obsessively tinkering with something and you become competent at it. And the more interested and obsessive you become more than competent. You become good. I was just blindly obsessed with wanting to create videos. There was no rhyme or reason. I didn't want to get anywhere. I just found this was the light for me. It's like, I can have a lot of fun here, and it's something to wake up for. That's another point too. What have you got to wake up for? Perfection? Pfft, good luck. Wake up for a process you enjoy doing. Like all these goal-orientated people, I've never been that way. Like, I'm more a direction-orientated person, which is more the journey or the path, right? I love waking up and having a direction to point myself in and something to tinker with. I don't want a perfect target to reach, because as soon as you reach a goal, you don't live there and you have to move on to the next one. Like, you never spend enough time enjoying that moment that you've been working so hard for. I'd rather enjoy what I'm working on. That, like, I'm enjoying more time. You've only got time that you're in now, and so why not enjoy that rather than saying, like, I'm going to trudge through this. I'm getting off topic, but it's related. This is a weird name. This person's moniker is I90807065. Well, that actually might be letters turned upside down, maybe. He says, I think that so long as I primarily enjoy the activity, the lack of ability isn't an issue. I agree 100%. Do you enjoy it? If you care whether it's objectively something that can be commercialized, that everyone else says, like, oh, I can go to this person for this skill, you're looking for external validation for something that should be internal, especially if it's a creative thing, especially if it's something metaphysical. On the other hand, if I feel forced, yes, then my lack of ability becomes extremely frustrating quickly, ironically. For example, I know I'm not the best driver around, but I enjoy the occasional spirited drive racing simulators. Counter to the competitive shooters are almost always boring and infuriating. I can lose a race and have fun, but if I win a round in a shooter, it's more like momentary relief. That's a good point. What's the personality difference between people who love shooting games compared to people who love driving games? That's a very interesting one for a lot of you gamers. Can you see a difference? And can you reflect on that? And is there a difference between temper, where you can enjoy the journey and you can get sort of a reward and it stays with you, or whether it's like very short term, like shoot, kill, shoot, kill. That'll probably get flagged now. The other poll was, could you improve life immeasurably simply by your attitude and minimal effort? This was really on the back of this recent video, how the comfort zone makes you miserable. I think a lot of people, just by not lazily falling back on the easiest way to think, approach, and not act, is just put minimal effort. And the way to kind of do that, I found, is even if you just put routines in place, like I'm going to get up and the first thing I'm going to do is like I'm going to go through my diary or organize my day, or I'm going to read my emails, or I'm going to write for 5 minutes. I'm talking from my point of view, right? The act of putting very, very simple and easy habits in place, that it's almost embarrassing that if you can't do that, you need to admit you're just lazy, right? So I think an important thing is if you can just put very simple habits that are so easy that you can stop them, like you give yourself permission, write for 5 minutes, and if you're not feeling it, you can quit. Is create habits that that make it so easy to do that there you can start to develop sort of more constructive stuff in your life. You can start to produce more. You can be more. You can be more productive. That's the word I was looking for. I love doing videos and doing all this stuff and work and tinkering and building stuff, and the thinking that results from a lot of this stuff is because I become more productive, and that productivity requires a lot of time. But if you're never giving yourself time to enjoy the patience required to sort of do this stuff, you're just going to be dragged along this wave of life, and whatever media feeds like stimulate, like the little beep on your phone. You never do things. You keep consuming stuff. You never create it. Raphael says, I have 2 questions for you. This is in the community tab, I asked people to ask me any questions that I found interesting that I could answer. I've already answered one by Sonyeo, the female who sort of asked about what do men talk about their needs and acknowledgement, because she doesn't understand when a man says women need to bring something to the table. She feels like she doesn't know what that is because men don't communicate. I answered that before. Raphael asked the question in the community tab, says, I have 2 questions for you. How do you manage your career and finances? I don't spend a lot. Back in my late 20s, 30s, I bought a very humble home, and I did everything I could to pay it off as quick as I could because I don't like debt. I'm not a big materialist that way. I don't like a lot in the background constantly making me run on a treadmill. I've got a very simple life. My hobbies are not, paragliding and skiing in the Alps and things like that. So basically, when, the last 2 years of lockup happened, my life did not only feel unaffected, my life in terms of my hobbies, it actually got better. I got to spend more time doing what I enjoy doing. So how much of your stuff requires a lot of money and a lot of commercial freedom? Or does it require a lot of a simple minimal life? So I manage my finances fairly easily because I don't spend a lot of money, because I didn't do it because I just want to be tight. It's because the stuff I enjoy is art and creativity and doesn't require a lot of money. But if you've got a lifestyle that requires a lot of money, you've got to adjust accordingly. You've got to make more money. And number 2, he says, are you in the point, how do you manage your career as well? He says, very rationally. I have a good work-life balance during the week. I work for a company half of the week. I work for myself the other half of the week. So I really looked at how much do I need, because I talked a few times about how I left the 9 to 5 working in the corporate environment in a design studio, and I just felt depleted. And I kind of looked at it and said, is this my life? Is this how it's going to be for the next 20, 30, 40 years? And I made a change because I knew the only thing stopping me was fear. Like, on paper, what's the worst thing that can happen if I make this change that I know I should make? If I was my best friend, what would I be telling my friend that really doesn't like the life he has at the moment? My life was in black and white. I wanted to make it color. What's the best way to do it? And let's not lie to ourselves. What do I need to do? And what am I afraid of? And is the fear real, or am I only fearful of change? Because the change I make will make my life so much better, and I'll be thankful that I left my old life in the rearview mirror. Those kind of really real questions. I understand if some of you guys have kids and a lot of things that you need to maintain financially. I'm just talking like the honesty of acknowledging, when you're just in your comfort zone, and to make a positive change that's going to make your life 10 times better and more comfortable. Like, I thought my life was comfortable before when I worked on paper, was earning good money, full-time corporate gig, but my life felt like I was in black and white, but I didn't like it as much. And I knew that I would enjoy my life 10 times more if I could do X, Y, and Z. The kind of stuff you talk to your friends about when you're on your lunch break, or when you, oh man, if I could do this, I need to take a day off where I can just relax and do this. It's like, is there a way of doing that that's more part of your everyday week? So I actually started to realize why that I could, because while I was working full-time, I never took blocks of 2 or 3 week vacations. I would always save those up, and I would always take long weekends. I would always spread out those. Like, if I had 2 weeks of holiday leave every year, I would not take those 2 weeks at a time. I would take those 2 weeks over the course of 3 months, like have a string of long weekends, like June, July, August, September. So I would only work 4 days a week or 3 days a week for 2 or 3 months. That would be how I would enjoy using up my holiday leave at work. And so that made me think, like, I want to live more like this. So you've got to be much more direct in what you want and what's important to you. No one's going to hand you a good life. Christian says, have you ever had creative burnout when making videos? All the time. And do you know some tips to help with it? Yep. Change. Out of your comfort zone. I've had periods where, like, I'm on a roll. I make a few videos, like a couple of weeks ago. Like the last couple of weeks, I've been on a roll pumping out 3 or 4 videos a week. And I've really enjoyed it. But I started to kind of get very mechanical. And I didn't like what was kind of coming back. And I started to get burnt out because I couldn't kind of keep up the pace. Because I've got, like, the only way I enjoy making videos is to a certain level of quality. And I've got friends that tell me, Human, just kind of put up the video the way it is. Don't even edit it. Just hit record, blah, blah, blah. Don't edit. Don't put all this effort and, cinematic BS in it. Just like, people just want to see more of you, right? It's like, but I won't enjoy it. I feel like I'll be, like a Campbell soup can on the conveyor belt, just kind of like pumping out more human cans on that conveyor belt, and I'm just the product. Whereas the whole reason I do this is because I want to express some sort of individuality, and I want to have a individual subjective one-on-one conversation with you guys, with my creativity and what I want to express. Look, this is about me expressing what I love doing and who I am and my drives. So this week, the way I get out of my comfort zone or my burnout or rut is to just kind of do things in a different way. So I still do me. I'm still creating, but if you watch a video, you see someone else doing it a different way and going like, oh, let me try that. Hang on, let me try doing this. Let me give this a shot. Let me not pump out 3 videos a week. What if I do one, put a lot of effort into one video? So just move things around. Don't get stuck into your habit of doing things mechanically the same way. But within your habits, like I love having habits in the week, and they're my boundaries, and within them I can play and be creative and spontaneous and change things around. But don't have everything so fixed like it's a mathematical sum. The mathematical sum for me is the boundaries that I set for myself and what my routines in life are. But within them, I'm as chaotic, playful, creative as I want to be. I can make mistakes and discover new things. So I think it's about making good habits that are you, and within them, play, have fun, and then if you feel burnt out, or you feel like things aren't working, adjust things. Take a break. If you go for, like for instance, if you work out 4 times a week, but you go for a run one time a week, I'm thinking about myself when I have my routines, and then I make 3 videos a week. If I'm kind of feeling burnout or in a rut, I'll start focusing on running. I'll run 3 or 4 times a week, change my workouts, minimize them, or do smaller workouts or whatever, and then do less videos a week. So I'm still doing what's me, but I'm shifting the furniture around in my house. So that's probably the best analogy. You know what your house is and continually rearrange the furniture in different ways and play with things. But you've got to kind of know the walls and the structure and what your home is. David P says, what are your thoughts on not approaching a woman, but simply doing your thing and waiting to see if she approaches? Let her make the first move. Yeah. Especially if you're kind of done and you've spent like decades always trying and making the move and whatever. I think trusting what you feel you want to do at the moment, as long as it's fair, as long as it's not like this stubborn kind of like, well, I'm not going to give anything to women now, and they've got to do all the effort of all the exes that didn't appreciate me. I don't think that's the way to do it. I think the way to do it is be honest about who you are now in terms of fairness. Like, if you come across a woman, and if she's friendly, you're friendly too. But you're done with being Romeo and putting her on a pedestal and trying to impress her and flowers and, being the best pick that she's going to choose. Like, I think that's more rational. So it's not about sort of like flipping the tables and like now the women have got to chase me. I think it's about being sort of neutral and being a fair human being and seeing if they're friends. But because then what happens, I noticed that with me, is that there's too many people out there, from my point of view as a guy, women are in the default, no, I'm a woman, you impress me mode. But when you're the neutral friend mode, it's kind of like, no, I require fairness here. You're the one-way street where you want everything going your way. Sorry, not interested. So I don't think it's good. A lot of guys think that flipping the tables on how awful women are today is a way to kind of balance things. I don't think it is. It's unbalancing things even more because you're acting in the worst ways that women are, because women already unbalance things by not caring about men as human beings, not giving anything, and expecting 10 times more than our grandparents did. Men do the same thing, and we collectively unbalance things even worse, doubly so. So I think the way to balance it is that middle point, that rational middle point of neutrality, where everyone that's unbalancing the world can let it tip over and they can suffer the imbalance in their life. The way to balance it is to be fair. Like, you guys can be up, you guys can be down, but the place we meet is the fairness in the middle, the reciprocity. How long have I been blabbing so far? An hour and a half. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Randall Draco says, I thank you for the donation, by the way, Randall. He says, whatever you do, try to improve others. If you're interested enough in yourself, you care enough about yourself, you care enough not to have other people intrude and mess up your world because you know it's not fair, it's not respectful, you will expect that in others, and you'll learn to reject friends and lovers that could potentially be that kind of negative influence and intrusion in your life. The more you're a better person for yourself, you'll almost require it of other people to be fair in that way. And so you'll start to be good to the world. There's no point just being this kind of person that will treat everyone well regardless of how they treat you. That's a recipe for being a doormat. So improve yourself, and by extension, that will start to improve the world and others. Like, be interested enough in yourself and your hobbies, and you will have something to show and share with the world, and be able to have conversations because of the stuff you're interested in and of yourself. But if you're an empty person, I think when you go out there, you look to suck the life out of the world and others. You don't actually give. I think Quasimandias said this. Are you a net contributor to the world? Or are you a net taker? Do you take more than you give? So, and don't forget, you're part of this world too. The first point of call is to treat yourself well, and by extension, I find that you start treating the world and others well, and you start to get a lot back. I selfishly create all this stuff because I'm interested, but what comes from this conversation is I give a lot to the world. Even if it's just mild entertainment, it might be mild irritation where a person has to figure out where they stand in life. They can disagree with me, but at least they make themselves self-reflect on what they think is right and wrong. Yeah, hit the like or dislike button, guys. Sixa Dharma says, the creative burnout is real. Whenever I find myself struggling to write new music, I go to another room and listen to a band I don't normally. This helps to spark things again. Yep. Also, sometimes we feel so good doing something creatively, we keep pushing it to exhaustion until there's like that exhaustion becomes like a negative, like little feeling, and we think like, oh man, I need a break from that. I know with writing, a lot of popular writing aphorisms are like, have a certain amount of hours that you write or a certain structured way. So even if you feel good, you need to be habitual enough to quit at that time. Don't write for longer than you've set. Or when you're on a high, leave on the high, write a note down, and then come back to it. But a lot of people, they're kind of like gluttonous. It's like food. They don't know when to stop. It's like, I'm having a great time. I love this. It's pure emotion. But you need to enjoy emotion and then leave something for tomorrow. You need to find the way that it works for you. So I think we go to extremes, and then we push it too far, and then we need a break from it, even stuff we enjoy. But I have it as well. But my way out of creative burnout is to do something else creative, or to change the way I do the same things, approach it in a very different way. Like I said with the videos, instead of approaching videos in the same pace, speed, and formula to produce the quantity I want, I felt burnout. And so what do? I still want to talk about what I want to talk about. I say, well, now I'm not going to try and produce as many videos, but I'm going to produce a different kind of video that requires more patience, a different speed. So you just adjust the dials of what you're doing, and don't be too stubborn about it. Especially if you're feeling burnout, sometimes we can force ourselves to keep doing the same thing that's irritating us. Is the thing you're doing sustainable? If it's not, be honest about what you need to adjust to continue its sustainability. Like we talk about with creative stuff, like if you're writing music, listen to different music, go for a walk, do something tangentially creative that will allow you to recharge that area that's been burnt out. Because don't forget, it's like a battery that's depleted. You love doing that thing, but if the battery's burnt out, it needs to recharge. And a lot of times recharging means putting in a different battery, a different way, or letting it recharge on its own while you do something else that might recharge it. So, T-Dog says, do you think the part of the trick to expanding our life experience is to give up some of our lofty ideals and concrete that we might be liked, and concede that we might be liked by some at least as we are? Yeah, a lot of us are. We came to points in life where we found something that really worked, like, oh, we found a way, this is the light, and then we stay with it. I said in videos, a lot of us are in jobs that the 18-year-old us picked for us, and we're in our 30s or 40s, and the 18-year-old you has actually fixed you in a direction that's not comfortable anymore. So it's the same with like our beliefs. The old beliefs that really saved us, worked for us, and we're especially with guys, we're very loyal. We don't throw away friends. And a lot of the ideas that saved us in the past is like a best friend. It's like, I'm not getting rid of them. I'm a very loyal person. We need to recognize that it's not about loyalty. It's loyalty for that time, but you are a different person, and you need to, if your loyal friend won't change, you need to recognize that loyal friend you will always respect, but it's in your past, because it's like a loyal friend now that lives in a different country. You talk once in a blue moon and you always respect each other, but they're not in your life anymore. So something to think about there as well. Good comment though, T-Dog. Ted1775 says, Human, what was your process to heal from and overcome trauma when you became red, PILL, unplugged? Knowing what I needed to do. Like, we kind of know what is going to work, but we don't like that it's going to be really uncomfortable. And like I said, who wants to feel uncomfortable? But like, if you're sick of the same old thing and you think you're going to heal yourself by doing the same old thing with, I'll just pick a different girl. I'll just watch more movies. I'll play more video games. I'll do like whatever it is where you don't feel good anymore, or you need to take a break from. It's kind of saying like, let me just try something else, because I don't even want to touch any of the familiar habits that led to me to this point. People, things, routines. Let me just kind of wipe the slate clean, go minimal, which I think is a big reason for minimalism's popularity in the last couple of years, is wipe away all the garbage. Start from scratch and only place things that you need. One bed, one toothbrush, one plate, one cup, and like, be very mindful of excess. It's that simplicity. I recovered by being very honest about what I no longer wanted to be and do, and leaning towards what I knew would probably be better, even if it's going to be uncomfortable. So do the thing I don't want to do, but I know I should. So who cares if it's uncomfortable, if it's the right thing to do, if you know it feels like the right thing to do, you want to, but you're afraid, you're uncomfortable, but really, if you do it, there's a big chance your life is going to be a lot better, and you've never done it. And it's a very new habit. It's unfamiliar. It's new ground. Like I said in the recent video, think of it as expanding your comfort zone, or think of it as minimalizing. Is basically doing the thing you know you should do, but you're not. You will find liberation where you don't want to look, but you know you should. I think it's a kind of a Buddhist or an old saying. It's, you will find your answers behind your fear, or something like that. Behind your fear is your liberation. So you know what's there, but you don't want to look. So it is you, but like, I don't want to look at it. There's something tapping me. I'm running on old patterns. Why don't you want to look there? That's a good question. Davina says, reading books is important to developing your knowledge and compassion for others. Yep. a lot of times, like you read a book and it speaks to you. It's almost like, oh, I wish I was friends with this author. You are like reading for me is almost like curating a social group by actively avoiding people or something like that. So you are looking for social interaction when you find books and people who write books that speak to you. Matt W says, I'm old enough, 56 years old, that I still remember when men and women, I know it's imperceptible now, loved each other. I grew up in the 70s, so do I. I grew up in 71, and it was common to see men and women publicly fall in love. Yeah, I've said in videos, I remember when I started nervously dating when I was young, guys and girls, you could tell when they liked each other, they smiled. There was this like and want of each other. And now it's this antagonistic reality TV-like tabloid way of pushing and pulling each other and having fun with each other and treating each other like a video game. And it's very exploitative and laughing at pain and like, aha, she was dumb, he was dumb, don't need her, don't need him. So, yeah, I remember the time where girls actually like guys. There was a time when girls actually like guys, where girl power was in its infancy. I think it started to really take root in the 90s, late 80s and 90s. 80s, 90s, yeah. 70s, when I was very young, I barely saw it, but then again, I wasn't old enough to date. I hadn't reached puberty yet. But in my 80s, when I reached puberty, and 90s, especially when I was dating, man. Donna, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. Donna says, is the stream going to have an hour early or an hour late next Sunday? Daylight savings ending next Sunday. What do people prefer? Write it underneath this video when it's posted, or even in this at the end of the stream. Is daylight savings going? Are we going forward or back? April the 4th. Clock goes backward. Right. So that would be 10 o'clock. I'd have to set a time. Do people prefer I make it 10 o'clock my time, which is whatever your time is now, guys? Would you prefer it an hour earlier? Or would you prefer it an hour later? Let me know. I would probably prefer an hour earlier, 10 o'clock. Because I've got to try and get up earlier. My sleeping habits have gotten, funnily enough, they've reverted back to my old comfortable ways, which is something I've got to work on. If any of you guys have a microphone as well, feel free to join the Discord chat after this live stream. A bunch of us go there and have a bit of a chat. Learn how to use push to talk on Discord. It's not very hard. Just go on YouTube and search how to use push to talk on Discord. It'll be like a 2 or 3 minute video, not very long at all. And yeah, respectfully, have a chat with everyone. Yeah, people are saying 10 is good. Yeah, it sounds like I won't keep it at 11 here at daylight savings, which will make it an hour later for you guys. I'll keep it I'll make it at 10 o'clock, which will be the same time for you guys. We're just going to daylight savings on the 4th next week, and that will be effectively making my stream an hour later for you guys. So I'll keep it at 10 a.m. which will be the same time. I just wish they'd get rid of daylight savings in Australia. Ted1775 says, Human, where is the soap and vitamins on this channel? The only thing I offer is stuff from my creativity. Because I was thinking about maybe offering, maybe not on this channel, but maybe offering for the people that enjoy like some of the color grading and, you know, the video stuff I do, LUTs. I already post music on my music channel, some of the music in the background of my videos. Some of those little things that I create that people would enjoy. I've been thinking about trying to offer more of them. But yeah, I sometimes get people offering me to do counseling work for them. And on one hand, kind of I go, I'm not a professional. I'm not going to sort of, you know, take the responsibility of like I know how to professionally heal someone. But then I look at some of the professional people with qualifications that are psychiatrists and therapists. And it's like, man, you're terrible. You need therapy, but you've become one to give yourself some sort of authority. And now you don't feel like you need to do any work on yourself. You've got the authority to tell people what to do. There's a lot of narcissists out there who actually become therapists as a way to kind of exhibit the worst character traits. Diffusion Base says, hey Human, what is the advice for people who are stalked by exes that are obsessionate? I don't think that's a word. Obsessive because they want to steal. I have no idea. Restraining order? Stay away from them? Whenever you greet them, hold a baseball bat? I don't know. Alright guys, let's wrap up the stream. I think it was a good one. Remember, hit the like, subscribe button, comment, dislike. Hit the dislike button if you like. And as always, I'll put a post in the comments section wanting, like, if you guys want to ask questions, if you think of anything now, I'll put up a post so during the week you can actually leave any questions that you consider. So post them under the videos as normal. But if there's a specific question that you really think is like an important one, feel free to double up and post it in the community tab, and I'll take a look at it if it's a very specific one on a subject that I might be able to kind of comment here, or it might even be a topic for a separate video on its own. Feral Android, thank you very much for the donation. You're the best, man. And I'll see the rest of you in the stream, not the stream, on Discord after this if you have a microphone. Like, comment, subscribe, donate if you feel like it, if you want to support. Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe putting up a membership thing on just as another way. Like if some of you guys don't want to use Patreon, or you don't want to say thank you with donating, you might want to just support the channel by the membership instead of like maybe always like donating through the stream here. It's up to you, but I appreciate it either way. It goes back into the channel. I'm always upgrading my gear and making sure I can provide better quality and provide better videos for you to watch. Anyway, I've blabbed enough, and I'll see you in the next video, and some of you I'll see in Discord after this. Catch you later, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.